Hi, it's Mary Beth with sacredgrove.com, and I am lucky enough to be interviewing Christine Humphreys, who started fostering dogs. And I've had somebody who was a cat foster and a kitten foster, but Christine has come in to be the dog fosterer for me. So, Christine, thanks for being here today.
Thanks
Um,
for having me.
yeah, let me just share a little bit about Christine. Christine's a Baltimore native, and if you're not in the DC area, we usually don't have to say it, but it means she lives in Maryland. I gotta give these geography lessons. And she's a native through and through. She grew up in Ellicott City and currently lives in Canton in downtown Baltimore. Christine's a huge sports fan, season ticket holder for the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps. And okay, my son's got another team he loves, but anyway, um, family is the most important thing to her. She's lucky enough to have her immediate family still local here in Baltimore. So they see each other all the time. Christine's worked for Marriott for 13 and a half years and currently is a group sales manager for the Mid-Atlantic region. So just so you know what she does. She had wanted a dog her whole life, but they were always so busy as kids that her parents said they couldn't get one because dogs take time. Then they got Christine a cat, and she's had cats ever since and still does. So Christine's first experience in having a dog has been fostering for the past 7 months. She tells me it's been such a rewarding experience knowing she's helping save lives of the most innocent, sweet beings. So, Christine, again, thanks for being here today.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so good to have you do this. Well, what about fostering is I'm going to be honest, I have never taken that step because I have a picture in my head of how do I give them up. I'm never good at ending relationships.
Oh,
So how does fostering work for you? How did you get into that decision to foster dogs?
so our family friend has works for the Hero Rescue. She's their treasurer, and so she's constantly has fosters. She has dogs and cats of her own. And just hearing the stories and the demand of how many fosters they need from the dogs they bring in, they bring them in from all over the country, and it's kind of wild to hear how many that they've rescued, and just how in need they are. And we were down at the beach with them in August and or July, I don't remember which, but she was on the phone constantly with the rescue trying to figure out transport from all these other states to Maryland. And I was like, oh my God, like she's so busy. And my mom and my sister had actually tried fostering. My sister had two fosters, and then she said she couldn't do it anymore. My mom had one and said they couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, oh gosh, like I don't know, I want to help, but like it sounds so stressful. But I was like, I'm just gonna give it a try because they need our help. She's a friend of ours, and I can see how stressful it is, trying to arrange all this. So I said, where do I sign up? And I applied, and I think I had a foster dog like a week later. It was that quick.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Well, and how did that go for you? I mean, tell me about it.
Yeah. So it's hard because, like I said, I've never had a dog before. So I didn't really know what to expect. I knew, there are a lot of work, and I specifically wanted puppies because, like you said, I do have two cats at home. So not knowing the dogs' backgrounds or their history and if they're good with other animals, I figured puppies would be the safest bet because they don't know what cats are. So the cats can kind of tell them this is our territory and this is what you do around
Right?
animals. And I think it's good for the dog too, because then, it's better exposure for them and socialization for them. Um, so yeah, I was nervous. I had no idea what to expect, except you feed them, you let them out to go to the bathroom, everything like that. But what's great is the rescue gives you everything you need to foster. They give you the crate, the food, toys, equipment, literally leashes, everything you need. I was to the point where I was actually buying some stuff because I felt bad asking them, and our family friend was like, Christine, stop buying things. We will give you everything you need. Um, so yeah, it really doesn't cost anything, which is another perk is, a big commitment of having a dog yourself is the cost of it. And you don't have to worry about that with fostering.
Even vet care, even going to the vet?
Yep. So we partner with a vet in Towson, Maryland, that they do all their, the vaccines that they need. They do any spaying and neutering, like anything they need, they get checked by the vet first before they go to the foster. And then they'll tell us if, we have to follow up on a certain date, or if we have to give them certain medicines. Yeah, we really just provide like the transport to and from. And even if you're not able to do the transport, the rescue will find someone who can
Who's
help.
that? Who's that?
This is Mosley. He's the black
Hi,
cat.
Mosley. Got to make an appearance.
Yeah. Yeah. So they provide everything. You don't have to spend a cent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask, how did you work around the attachment that you had? And I would imagine that there's something that nourished you because you're still doing it. So,
yeah,
it's,
you get attached very quickly, not only because they're cute puppies, but you hear their background stories, and some of them are pretty sad, and it's awful what happens to some of these dogs, and that they're able to recover. And luckily most of the dogs I got were puppies. I did get a few that were 1 or 2 years old that had other experiences, but so luckily the puppies were normally just from strays, that were found and brought to a shelter. But you just realize that you're saving lives. And I mean, there's not a better feeling than that, especially for, some of these animals that were neglected or abused, and they don't deserve that. They don't know what's going on. So, to give them a loving home until they find their forever family is just, I mean, it's hard to say no to. You just feel like you're doing good and helping these, and, showing them that there are good people and you can trust us as humans. And yeah, it's just nice to give them a comfortable place to be until they go to their forever family.
That's so cool. And who's barking in the background? Who's this?
So this is Nola. Do you want to see her?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, good, because she's chewing on cords right now.
Okay, Nola.
So this is Nola.
Hi, Nola.
This one.
She says, let me get back to what I was doing there.
This was she's my ninth foster. But I actually last Wednesday adopted her. So she's mine. Oh,
she's yours.
Yeah, she's a sweetie. So she was actually found on the side of the road in Louisiana with her brother, who got adopted by one of my friends, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool. So you can have reunions.
Yeah, so they'll get to have play dates and see each other, but she's barking because she wants to play with the cats and they don't want to play with her.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, she's a sweetie, and I didn't even go into fostering wanting to keep a dog, but I got her in my arms and I was like, I can't give this one up. She's just too special.
I think there's a little agreement. Sometimes you meet that's how you end up with these animals, that there's a soul agreement where you just go, I'm sorry. Yeah. You're supposed to keep me.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have said that about a lot of the fosters. It's like every time I get them, I'm like, oh, this one's mine. And then I end up not keeping them. So a lot of my friends and family were like, yeah, Christine, you're going to keep this one, I'm sure. But I did. It's official.
I'm so glad. Did you have a hard time sending? Well, obviously you thought you were going to keep them. How did you work yourself to give them to their forever home and reconcile your feelings about that?
Yeah, so I think the first 3, I cried my eyes out when I gave them away. Just because, like, I mean, you form a connection instantly with these dogs, and like I said, you save them, and it's like you want to know how they grow up, and you want to see them thrive and see what they become. But then ultimately, in the time when you're fostering, you get to know their personalities, and you get to know what they need to have the best life ever. So we get to kind of tell the rescue, this dog needs a house with no kids, or this dog needs a house with no cats, and we tell them how they are socially with other dogs, other cats, anything like that. So we get to learn their personality and have a say in the home that they're going to. So, you know, it was sad for the first couple times, but then after that, you just kind of realize that they're going to the best home, and they're going to thrive and live their absolute best lives. And one of the cool things is for the most part, for like a couple months afterwards, the families start to, like, they send me pictures and videos and updates, and it's just awesome to see that they truly are in the best place. So you just remember that side of it, and then you're like, well, I gotta get the next dog. The next dog's coming. So this one's at a good home, and then bring on the next one. So
That's so great.
oh, sorry, hold on. She's chewing on a pen.
Okay. So I got my little Scott. I'm showing off my little Scotty mug.
Oh, cute.
My friend Karen.
So cute.
During the intermission here.
I know. Life with a puppy. You have to pause when you hear her doing something. You're like, what?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So how's she getting along with the cats? I'm going to take a little detour and talk dog-cat relations here.
Yeah, so she loves them. That's kind of why you heard her barking in the background, because the cats are down here and she wants to play with them. They don't want to play with her. They swat at her and hiss, but she thinks that's them playing. So she keeps going at it and they keep doing that. So when she plays, she barks. And so that's a lot of that going on. The cats just are not happy. They're like, Mom, get her away. So hopefully they'll get used to it. The black cat that's been up here, he doesn't normally mind the dogs, but this one he's not happy with, of course, the one that I decided to keep.
You haven't broken it to him yet, huh?
No, so not going to break the news for a while.
Yeah, that's good. That's probably good. I've got 3 cats and 2 dogs, and 4 of them are older, and then I've got Shadow came in about 3.5 years ago, and the cat and my dog Stella said, like, oh my golly, I got a puppy, because she but she took her over, and it was really good because the 2 older cats didn't want to play with her. So we had we still got a really great relationship. If one of the cats gets snarky with Shadow, Stella steps in and says, back off.
Good.
So I love it. And then on the other hand, my white cat, Mac, loves my dog Tibor and headbutts him all the time. And Tibor's like, stop. So I don't know, but they all get, you know,
they'll figure it out.
Right? It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me digress into those stories.
Oh, of course.
What do you think makes a good foster person then, now that you've done it successfully and unsuccessfully?
I know it's the only time when you're unsuccessful in something that is a success, but
yeah,
it takes patience, a lot of patience, and compassion, because like I kind of hinted at before, a lot of the dogs we know the stories of their past, a lot of them we don't. So again, you have to give your whole heart and be open to, again, love them and let them know that they can trust humans. And some of these dogs have never even been inside homes before, and never even seen humans. So they don't know, what we are, who we are. And you kind of got to trust the process as well. Like I said, if you have kids, you could be a little hesitant because we don't know what the dogs are going to be like. But the good thing about it is if you start fostering a dog and something happens or they don't get along with your other animals or your kids, the rescue will help find another foster until they find their forever home. So, it's a commitment, yes, but it doesn't have, if you're stuck with a dog that just doesn't fit in your environment, they can help fix that. But you've got to have compassion and just love and open your heart and lots of patience. Even if it's a puppy or not, they're in a totally new environment. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to be scared. I had one dog where I slept. She had never seen, she came from a hoarding situation in Virginia where there were 50 dogs. She had never been inside a home. They were all left outside. So one night I slept on the floor next to her crate because she was terrified of me. Like, she would let me pet her and touch her. And I would take her outside, and this was one of the ones that was like 1 year old. She would let me take her outside, but I would have to go inside of the crate to get a leash on her, because every time you got near her, she would just be terrified. Unfortunately, the bad side about fostering is we did find out this particular dog was abused so badly that she did have to be put down. So that was hard for me, because I'm like, oh my God, like, no wonder she was so terrified of me. And here I am just trying to let her know she can trust me. And, sadly, we never got to that point. It was probably a week I had her before, we found out what had happened. So it's tough. You just gotta have patience, I think, and kindness, and just be open to help them however they need it until they find their forever family. So
I've met some dogs who I'd like to try. I'm looking for a better term to put down, because it's hard. That's a tough one, right? So maybe let go or release, and for various reasons, not just end of life stuff. And I feel like they get a really okay. We're going to go here. I think that they get a lot of tender care on the other side. That's all right. Go ahead. And what's he puppet? What's he doing?
Okay. She was eating my cycling shoes.
He's a busy boy. He's not a puppy, is he?
Yes, seriously.
Yeah. But I do think that when they get to the other side, there's a lot of pampering and love, because there are just beings who take care of them and help them to recover, so that it's not the end of their life.
Right.
And I almost feel like it's a reset for them when they can't, this life didn't work. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We got you, baby. And so I have to look at it that way, because you'd like everyone to thrive in this world, and some either through experience, and some have, I think, even I've met some who have glitches in the brain where there's a switch that turns on, and there's some aggression, and it can't, as far at least today in our world, we don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the case with her. It was like, again, I was a complete mess. I mean, for days I would just cry about the situation. But then you finally realize she would not have had a life after that. I mean, the physical and emotional trauma was beyond. So I truly believe she is better off.
There's a lot of, there are a lot of compassionate beings who just, I feel like you almost think of triage units, you think of those things, that there's sort of that version for the really tough cases. So that's what gets me through.
Yeah.
knowing what happens when things like that, they don't work out for the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a reality with some of our animals. We want them all to make it, and not all of them can recover.
Luckily, there are very few of those stories.
That's true.
Mostly good and happy endings.
Yeah, my guy Tibor behind me, I don't think he ever was in a house. He didn't know how to go upstairs. He was afraid of coming with us, and we had a little fear aggression. But I was able to tell him that he had to share the bed with my husband. Really important. And then we got him his own bed, and he got it. And so he looked pretty ferocious in the beginning, and now he's a sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do people have to get trained to foster? How do people get prepared to do this?
Yeah, so you don't need to get trained. Oh gosh, someone's about to ring my doorbell. This was bad timing. You don't have to get trained. You do have to just get approved. They just do a background and reference checks, of course, but you don't have to get trained. You just get approved and you do it. You kind of train yourself. Like, I bought a book on how to train puppies in 7 easy steps to figure out what I was doing. I was like, I need to train myself. So Yeah, no training needed, just a background check.
And how long do they usually stay with you before they're ready? There's a usual time, or does it depend on each dog, or?
It depends. So since I do mostly puppies, it's usually around 2 weeks. They usually need to stay with us for 2 weeks minimum before they're even posted online for adoption.
Mhm.
But the other dogs, I mean, it really just depends on when they get adopted. So like I said, you could be committing for 2 weeks, you could be committing for a couple months. But again, if that doesn't work with your schedule or with what is happening in the home, if the dog's not getting along, then they can find another home for it until it gets adopted. So
Yeah.
it's a commitment, but it doesn't have to be as long, if it's not working out. They're very flexible.
That's really nice. So, tell me what group you work with again?
So they're called the Hero Rescue. They're based out of Jarrettsville, Maryland. And they basically partner with shelters all around the country, high kill shelters, really just overcrowded shelters that take in, dogs that are about to be euthanized or, have been abused or strays. And then we find someone who's able to transfer all these dogs up to us, and then we take it from there. So NOLA came up with from Louisiana with 18 other dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, so from a shelter down there. So yeah, they're really in it just to save all the lives that they can, and just partner. I mean, we've had dogs from Missouri, Texas, Virginia, Louisiana. I mean, you name it. We'll find them anywhere. They're like, bring them here. We'll take care of them. So yeah, it's
Okay, well, and good. I know that people who are watching this may not all be from the Metro DC area, but I'm going to put the information down anyway. And when I post the interview, I'll get the information from you and post it in case people want to hear more that do live in the Baltimore area. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Christine? That something came to mind, maybe a good story, or you've spoken so eloquently about the perks and the deep reasons that you're doing this. It's lovely. But I'm wondering if there's anything else that you've thought of that you would share.
I think one of my favorite stories was the foster dog that I had before NOLA. Her name was Precious. she was Precious. And she was one I came very close to foster failing as well. But my family and I, we go to a brewery every Sunday. It's just a local place that we've been trying to support during the whole pandemic. Oh, sorry, she has a pen again. So we always go there every Sunday, and they're dog friendly. So I usually bring the fosters, kind of to advertise them, to be like, this is available for adoption. And
Great.
we were there one Sunday, and this woman saw her, and she was like, oh my gosh, this dog is so cute. And our family friend actually was walking her around, and she's available for adoption. I'll get my friend over here to come tell you about her. And I went over there. The woman was so sweet. You could tell she was already in love with her. And this was when I still was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep her or not. But the woman was like, I have been looking for a dog or for a puppy for over a year. She said, I wasn't even going to come here today to Pools, but something told me to come, and I meet this dog and I've got to have her. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's the website. She applied for the dog right there at the brewery. And I think she got approved and picked her up 2 days later. And it made me so happy. I'm like, this was absolutely meant to be. And yeah, her new name is Maeve, which I like better than Precious.
I do too.
Yeah, so she absolutely, it was no question after that. I was like, well, I can't keep this dog. This woman needs this dog. So that's one of my favorite stories, is just stars aligned, I think, and she needed that dog.
That's so good. Yeah, I do. You got to pay attention to those signs, because they'll show up for you if you're paying attention. I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview, Christine. I hope that more of us will step up and when we can, when the house situation is right, do some
Mhm.
fostering. It sounds like a great way to help
Yeah, and
all
I
the
just,
animals in shelters.
yeah, I wanted to just add, if you are hesitant about even adopting a dog, a lot of people do foster to adopt.
Hmm.
So that's always an option. I've also, a lot of my fosters have gone to one of my friend's houses, and her daughter kind of takes care of her when I'm there, or even if I'm just like gone for the day. So if your
Ah,
kids are begging for a dog, like most kids do, I think fostering's great to teach them the work that it takes. And then it's cute too, because my friend's daughter gets excited when the dogs get adopted too. She loves them and she misses them, but she understands the story of, they're going to their best home. So I think it's great if, again, you're considering adopting, or if you want your kids to learn that it's a lot of work and you can't keep dogs, and or if you just want to help out. I think it's a great experience. And yeah, I mean, people foster just to foster, some foster to adopt, um, and again, I think you can just foster to see if it's going to fit for your family, or you know your kids will be like, nope, this is too much work, mom, you were right, I don't want to get up at 6 a.m. every morning and take this dog out. So it doesn't
yeah.
have to be a long-term commitment. I think it's a very rewarding experience, and we need a lot of fosters, that's for sure.
That's really wonderful. And one of the things that just it is so obvious when I thought of it, but I gotta say, and it keeps the dogs out of being in the shelter.
Yep,
It starts giving them the idea of what it's like to live with humans. But shelters they do the best they can, right? But
it's a lot.
it's a kind of a plain old environment.
Right.
you know, it's and so having them at home, what a gift you're giving them until they get adopted.
Yeah, so I am going to take a break on fostering just so I can get her trained and acclimated. But as soon as she's potty trained and um, you know used to everything, and then she'll probably help teach these other fosters. So I'll start back up as soon as I've got her
Oh,
up and
that's
running.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for sharing today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun,
Oh,
and
this
I'd
was
love
fun.
love the opportunity to talk about it anytime I can.
All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Hold on a sec. Thank you so much.
Thank you.